feeling. So with that, we're going to go to Joytrimoy uncle, who's going to continue his lessons on Prabhu Jagat Bandhu. Last time, I believe the last full story we spoke about was the how do you say, the Brigopoddo
Chinna.
Chinno,
The
yeah.
mark of Brigopoddo.
Yes. So that was the last full story. So we're going to continue from there. And Uncle, you have co-hosting, right? So you're able to share your screen. And we do have request of the PowerPoint that you use the picture. So if we can either send it or upload them on the website, that would be great. Shamal Uncle, I believe, did send out a PDF with extensive literature on Prabhu Jagat Bandhu, which should be a good resource to you all, but we will be working with Uncle to get you the pictures as well.
Yeah, that is the one Gautam, the Jyotirmoy Go, Mr. Jyotirmoy Go sent us, sent me yesterday. So I posted it right away on the website as well as on the WhatsApp group. So I hope that some of you did go through that material. That will help. Jai Jagat Bandhu, Jai Gurudev.
This is the picture which I explained last time. That is called Braja Lila Gaur Lila Mahasanmilan. That is, who is Prabhu Jagat Bandhu? I'm repeating because this is very important. We must get it, in our head, nailed. So who is Prabhu Jagat Bandhu? He is the combination of the whole entire Braja Lila and Gaur Lila. The Lord Krishna, Radharani, and all their companions, major companions, and Lord Gauranga, Lord Nityananda, and all their major companions. They are called, 5 major companions. Panchatattva of Gaur, that is in Nadia, in Mahaprabhu's Leela. So they are all within Prabhu Jagat Bandhu. And he is a combination. He said in his own word, Leela combination of all things. So if you ask me, what is the proof? You are just telling me, okay, Prabhu is this, Prabhu is that. So what is the proof that Prabhu is that? The first proof is, number 1, is Prabhu Jagat Bandhu himself told us so. He was, you have heard half of it, he was a very, very pious character. Not even a word, forget a word, even a letter of untruth ever he uttered, came out of his mouth. So such a person who was in his whole life truth, the ultimate truth personified, he himself at one point told one of his very close devotee, Navadip Das Ji, just traveling with him. He used to call him Naba. So, nickname, Naba. And just told him suddenly, do you know who I am? Naba said, no, Prabhu, I don't know. Then he said that the Supreme Godhead or Govinda is none other than Lord Krishna and Lord Gauranga. That is, the Supreme Lord, the Hari, whom we hear of, or the Brahman, is nothing but Krishna or Gauranga. And he said, one who is having the total energy of these 2 avatars, these 2 manifestation of Hari, is Sri Sri Prabhu Jagat Bandhu. He said, I am the one who is having the total energy combined of the Krishna Leela and the Gaur Leela. He said in his exact language, one who is having the total unified energy and potential of these 2 Leelas is Sri Sri Hari Purush Jagat Bandhu. That is me and only me. Do you understand? I am the Leela combination of all things. So Prabhu himself revealed to us his identity. That is one proof. The second proof is one of the another close companion of Prabhu, who was a relative also of Prabhu, will come to know of him in today's lecture. He's called Atul Champati. He was a very high-class Brahmin and a very, very educated fellow. In those days, he had done, 2 master's degree, one in English and another in mathematics. And he was a principal of a very well-known school at that time. So such a educated person, when he came into close contact of Prabhu, naturally I told you last time also, most of the devotees of Prabhu were much elder than him, because Prabhu was only a boy of 15, 16 at that time. So when he came into close contact with Prabhu and started living with him, when Prabhu, I will come to that story, when Prabhu was living in Calcutta, in the quarters of the domes, domes are the assistants who help in burning the, dead bodies in the burning hearts. So they are considered to be among the lowest of the lowest in the social structure of the Hindu, social structure. And no one of the upper caste will ever go to them, even talk to them properly, except for when they go to the burning hut for burning the dead bodies. Nobody will care about them. Even touching is far off. Even having a glance at them is to be considered a crime in those days. So such were those, so hated were they, and so downtrodden were they, these domes. But Prabhu used to go and live with them in their quarters. I have seen that area called Rambagan in Kolkata, where Prabhu used to go. Even today, when I go there, I feel uncomfortable, because it's not so clean, and the way they live. Even now, today, after so many years, and they have become much more educated and civilized now, but still. And in those days, 100 years back, almost 125 years back, Prabhu used to go and live with them in their quarters and teach them spirituality, kirtan, and uplifted them in the society. So the story is, when Prabhu was living then in a very small cottage there, because they had no facility, no house, all small bamboo made cottages and thatched roof and things like that. Though inside Calcutta, Prabhu was staying in one of those domes quarter, and of course he used to be given a separate room. He never lived in someone else's room where anybody has stayed before. Prabhu never used to live there. A separate small room was made for him, and at night Atul Champati used to go and sleep. Prabhu used to sleep on the, on the cot which was given to him, maybe made of bamboo or something, camp cot kind of thing. And Atul Champati, as his servant, a sevak, used to sleep on the floor. And on one occasion, Atul Champati was hearing the whole night there was Sri Nam, that is this Hare Krishna Nam, coming out of his Prabhu's face, somewhere in the face region, continuously. And the whole room, Atul Champati has described this to my Gurudev, Dr. Mahanamrita Brahmachari, and he has written all these things down. Atul Champati described that whole atmosphere. In that whole night, I couldn't sleep. And I was feeling I'm not in Dampalli, in Rambagan, I'm in Vrindavan. And that some divine Leela is happening. And, I couldn't see anything, but I was feeling like that. And from the face of Prabhu, continuously throughout the night, this Harinam was being uttered or being heard. So at that time, since it was deep in the night and Prabhu was in a trance, Atul Champati was too scared to ask him anything. He was also in a trance. So in the morning, when Prabhu was in his normal self, and Atul Champati asked him, Prabhu, you don't sleep at night. The whole night you were uttering Nama. Then Prabhu said, I don't utter any Nama. Then Atul Champati asked him, but I heard whole night. Prabhu said, it's not me. It's Radha and Krishna staying in my face. They are enjoying each other by uttering the Hare Krishna Nama. So what Prabhu said is that within him, in his face, Radha Krishna dwells. And they are always enjoying themselves through this Nama, Hare Krishna. Krishna calls Radharani by Hare Hare and Radharani calls Krishna by Krishna, Krishna, Ram, Ram. So like that, throughout the night and day, all the time, within the face, the divine face of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar, Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani resides. On another occasion, similarly, Atul Champati was again hearing in the same place, Dompolli, hearing again the holy Naam coming out of Prabhu, but not from his face, from his chest, from his body. And this time it was not one person, it was three. It was not, he could clearly understand it was coming from three persons. One person saying, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And two persons, they are giving reply. It's called seconds or Dohari in Kirtan language. They were saying, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So again in the morning, Atul Champati asked, Prabhu, who were they? I could hear three people uttering Nama within your body. Who are they? Then Prabhu told him in a very, he didn't say the names, but gave their mother's name. But Atul Champati could understand that he said, Lord Gauranga, Lord Nityananda, and Lord Gadadhar. Lord Gauranga is calling these two companions, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And they together calling Lord Gauranga, Hare Krishna, Krishna. So these were direct experiences, of Prabhu Jagatbandhu, of Atul Champati Thakur with Prabhu. So this is not, what I'm trying to say, this is not some story we are hearing, this is not some, visualization or some concept. These were direct experiences. Similarly, not only Atul Champati Thakur, the founder Acharya of Mahanam sect, that is Sripad Mahendraji, many of you may have heard him. He is the Gurudev of the famous Dr. Mahanamrata Brahmachari. He was also a, very close companion of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. And when he was in Faridpur, we'll talk about him a little bit in today's lecture. When he was in Faridpur, Sri Angan, and Prabhu was in his divine trance in Mahabhava, I told probably earlier, 16 years, few months, 16 years and almost 16 and a half years, Prabhu was inside a cottage. He didn't come out, not even a ray of sunlight touched him. In those days, Mahendraji few times had divine vision of Prabhu when he went into that cottage. And he could also see all these things. Krishna and Radha, residing on the face of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. And Lord Gauranga and Lord Nityananda and Lord Gadadhar. Lord Gauranga on his chest and Lord Nityananda and Lord Gadadhar on his arms, and Srivas and Advaita Prabhu on his 2 feet. So the Panchatattva, the Nadia and Radha Krishna along with all major companions are all residing within the body of Prabhu Jagat Sundar. And what they are doing? They are continuously enjoying themselves to Harinam. This is continuously happening within Prabhu Jagat Sundar. So this is Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar. And this has been also experienced by Dr. Mahanamrita Brahmachari during his meditations many a times, and he's described it in many of his kirtans, poetries, etc. So this is what I tried to say. This is not a mere picture or a concept. These were direct experiences of many of Prabhu's companions and Dr. Mahanamrita Brahmachari, who had direct experiences of such things with Prabhu Jagat Sundar. And we also discussed that why Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar is called the Supreme Godhead, Bhagavan, because he had those basic qualities, Sat Chit Ananda, which is described in our Hindu scripture as the definition of the Supreme Godhead. The Supreme Godhead is nothing but Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means, we said, that the very existence is called Sat. Very, very beautiful. Prabhu was very, very thick. One who will be the representative of the reincarnation of Supreme Godhead on this mundane earth will be very, very beautiful. Lord Krishna was, Lord Gauranga was, and Lord Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar was also very, we have discussed that. And he'll have a supreme consciousness that is called God consciousness. We have self-consciousness, that who we are. But Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar had God consciousness. From the very childhood, when he couldn't even talk properly, he knew that he is the Supreme Godhead. He is Lord Gauranga. He is Lord Krishna. This knowledge was available to him all the time. And today, we will enjoy, we will try to see the Ananda part of it. We said Sat Chit Ananda. What is Ananda? Ananda is bliss. Ananda is not pleasure. There are, in our language, in Bengali or Sanskrit, there are 2 words. One is Sukh, another is Ananda. Sukh is earthly pleasures. And Ananda is not pleasure. It is the divine bliss. Ananda is defined by something. When you get it, you feel like distributing it. If you don't keep it to yourself, you always, Dr. Mahanamrita Brahmachari said, when you get Ananda, how will you know that I have got Ananda? Whenever you get that, you feel like giving it to someone else, distributing it. Oh, I have got such a beautiful feeling. I must tell to my closest friend. I must tell it to so many people. So when you get such feeling, that is the Ananda you are getting. But when you get a feeling, if you feel like keeping it to yourself, not giving to anyone else, that is nothing but pleasure. So there is a difference between pleasure and Ananda, or bliss. So God is nothing, God, the Supreme Godhead, Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar is nothing but bliss, solid bliss, bliss personified. So much infinitely infinite bliss. Ananta Anantama is called, is in this, in this angle. His bliss, his potency of bliss never ends. So what is the character? Whenever of this bliss, whenever there is Nirananda, or that means whenever there is a dearth of bliss somewhere, someone is suffering, someone is in pain, Prabhu immediately by his grace, this is called Karuna, by his grace removes that and fills him with bliss. And that's all called Kripa or Patituddhar. That is, whoever is suffering due to their karma, he has uplifted them, removed all these sufferings due to their bad karma from them by uplifting them spiritually. So this is the permanent solution to their unfortunate suffering. You know, if someone is suffering, you just go and give him, suppose he's unable to eat or he doesn't have a proper house, you build him a house or give him food for one day. It is not a permanent solution. Because Prabhu always thought in our Hindu philosophy, man is suffering always because of his bad karma, which he has performed in the past. So we have to help him, but we have to also elevate him spiritually, give him moral background and morally uplift him, and then only there'll be a complete solution to his suffering. Otherwise, for today or for some time, his sufferings will go, but he'll suffer again because he'll do bad karma, and again, due to his karma, he will suffer. So this is what Prabhu did. He went in and not only helped them, but lived with them and uplifted them spiritually by simple way, by teaching them Harinam and Kirtan. He didn't give them philosophy. He didn't give them lectures. Okay. He just taught them how to do Kirtan, how to do Harinam, which is the simplest way to go up spiritually. He taught them that, and believe me, their whole lifestyle changed. All these people, downtrodden people in the society. I talked about the dome. Then in Faridpur, where Prabhu used to live, there used to be Bagdis. They were also very untouchable caste in the society. Prabhu uplifted them all. And this is the expression of his infinite bliss or Ananda, which is the major character of the Supreme Godhead. So, with this background, we'll enter into the life of Prabhu, which we were discussing, and we ended at a place where Prabhu Jagatbandhu went to Pabna, and he was living with his elder cousin sister, Golakmani Devi, where Golakmani Devi could see that mark of Lord Bhrigu, which is there on the chest of Lord Vishnu, Mahavishnu, who is staying in Vaikuntha. So those marks was there on Prabhu's body also. So which shows that he is again the Lord Vishnu, incarnation of Lord Vishnu on this mundane earth. Then there is to be, in those days in Pabna, where Prabhu was staying with his elder sister for some time, cousin sister, there is to be a lunatic saint called Haran Khapa. Though he looked like a lunatic and stayed in a very, he used to stay in very odd places, a broken temple, a very old house, something like that, where there used to be a lot of snakes and things like that. But it didn't matter to him because he was having a lot of spiritual powers. He could, he was a Bhakshiddha. You know what is Bhakshiddha means? Whatever he utters becomes true. He utters nothing but truth, and he could predict future. If someone goes to him and if he tells him something, this will happen to you maybe a year after or whatever, that used to happen. So he was, though like that, he had no need. He hardly used to eat, or, he had no physical needs. He used to wear torn clothes and things like that. You can see in the picture. But he was very famous there, because of his supreme spiritual power. So Prabhu, when he was in Pabna, this person, Haran Khapa, he never used to touch anybody. If someone goes near him, he used to, rebuke him, or thrash him, something like that, and then utter something about him, which is to become true. But whenever Prabhu went to him or he saw Prabhu somewhere, he used to embrace Prabhu and love him so much. And he used to say, Prabhu is the Lord. He's the Lord of the Lord, and we are all his servants. And Prabhu used to call him what, you know? Prabhu used to call him Sadashiv, or Lord Shiva himself. You know, the Supreme Lord Shiva, you know, incarnated in Pabna. Prabhu used to tell him by that name. So such powerful spiritual personality, Aran Khapa, he used to also call Prabhu Jagadbandhu Sundar, could understand and say, was the Supreme Lord himself. And what Prabhu used to do there, Prabhu was a young boy, you know, those days, 15 years, maybe 14, 15 years old. And he was also studying in a school there, and all the boys of his age, you know, used to get attracted to Prabhu. He was so beautiful and he used to talk so nicely. I have explained all this in the last class. So everyone is to get attracted. And Prabhu used to do what? Teach all these boys brahmacharya, self-restraint, and spiritual path. So what happened is, all the guardians, you know, parents and guardians of these young boys, they become very scared. They thought, if these boys, they mingle with Prabhu so much, Prabhu Jagadbandhu Sundar, they will all become monks. They will leave their, you know, normal family life and become monks. So they didn't want that, the parents, you know. So what they did is, they took a very heinous path and employed some of the, you know, unsocial elements to thrash and hit Prabhu at night. And they hit him so badly that he became unconscious. And somehow, one of the night guards who were moving around could see Prabhu. He saw, you know, they hit him when he became unconscious, took him and put him inside a jungle-like place, you know, where next to the town. And one night guard could see from the jungle a glow or some radiance is coming out. And when he went near, he saw Prabhu lying there. And he knew Prabhu, so he brought Prabhu, he picked him up and brought him to the house of this Kalakmani Devi. And they were so upset. And next day, when, you know, Prabhu was a little bit all right, he was asked by all seniors in his family and family friends that who were those people who hit you? You tell me their names and we'll make sure, you know, they suffer. But Prabhu never uttered that name. He said, you know, in this incarnation, I have come to save everyone. I have not come to harm anyone. So such was his, you know, again, God consciousness and the purpose of arrival advent in this earth. And in Pabna, also Prabhu is to, like everywhere, is to arrange a lot of kirtans with these young boys and his devotees and go around the town with kirtans. So one day he was doing that. He was inside the kirtan dancing, and local king called Banamali Rai saw him from a distance. He was coming on a elephant. You know, those days kings and landlords, they used to move on elephants. So he had his own elephant and he was moving on that. And from far off he could see Prabhu. And he was very much enchanted by seeing his, you know, divine dance and the beauty and the luster and the radiance coming out of his body. He was totally mesmerized. So what happened is he immediately, like in a trance, you know, he was the king. He shouldn't do such thing. But he got down from the elephant went near Prabhu, and Prabhu was a small boy, young boy, but he bowed down to him and requested him to come to his palace once at least. Prabhu never used to go to the house of, there's such rich people and people of very, upper class who were in, very upper class people in the society. Prabhu used to usually avoid them. But this time somehow, Prabhu immediately agreed. He said, yes, I'll go. One day I'll go to your palace. So Banamali Rai remembered that, and he sent his elephant with his one of his Brahmins to take Prabhu to his palace, and Prabhu went there one day. And what happened with Banamali Rai is, in those days, though he was a Hindu king, but he was slowly thinking of, he was getting influenced by a new neo-Hindu faith called Brahmo faith, which is no more there these days, but in those days it was started by a few people in Bengal, where they used to not believe in the physical form of the God. They were mostly influenced by Christianity, and they were believers of God, but formless, omnipresent, like it's talked about in the Upanishad and the, Christianity, Christian faith. They don't believe, usually they don't believe in a particular form or a personal Godhead. So Banamali Rai was getting influenced by that, and he started not believing in this deities. They had the, his forefathers and all, they had a deity in their house called Jamai Binod, Lord Krishna, and Banamali Rai should not believe in that deity, that idol, and in all the seva which was given to that deity. Even they used to give not only food, that to that deity, but they used to, after offering food, they used to give him a hookah to smoke also. So Banamali Rai, it was a tradition, it used to be done by the Brahmins, and all that in their temple of the king. But he had no faith in all this. He said, thought all this is bogus. What is this deity? How can God come inside a, idol made of stone or a wood or made of some metal? God can never come inside that. God is omnipresent, He's everywhere. So he had no faith in that. And Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar knew this because, he could understand by seeing a person, he could know his past, future, everything. So when Prabhu came to Banamali Rai's house, at that time, the noon time, when the meal was offered to the deity and this hookah was given, Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar touched the forehead of Banamali Rai. And Banamali Rai went into a trance, and he could hear that Lord Krishna, that Binod, Jamai Binod, Lord Krishna, is enjoying hookah, and he could hear that sound, that hookah being smoked by Jamai Binod. And he could, smell that beautiful smell of that tobacco, which is being enjoyed by Jamai Binod. And when again Prabhu retouched him on his forehead, all this vision and this got removed. Immediately after that, there was a total transformation in Lord Banamali, and after that he became a total devotee, a Vaishnavite devotee and a believer in the form of Lord Krishna. And then he went to Vrindavan and so many places with Prabhu Jagatbandhu, and he became, in the Vaishnavite circle, a very famous man. used to be called then Rajarshi. Prabhu used to call him Rajarshi. And Vanamali Rai is the first person who called Prabhu Jagatbandhu Prabhu. Before that, he was a young boy. He used to be called Jagatbandhu or Bandhu or Bandhu Sundar. Vanamali Rai is the first person, who called him Prabhu for the first time. That's why he's very, very important character in the life of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. After this, Prabhu went to so many places, and then he came to Calcutta, and the first he met there one of his old classmates called Bakulal Biswas, and along with him for the first time, he went into a studio, and a picture of Prabhu along with Bakulal Biswas was taken. He told the photographer to take a picture, and for the first time a picture was printed. The picture of Prabhu, which we are all worshipping, keeping in our house, that Prabhu, sitting in Padmasana in this posture. You can see that this was taken first in Calcutta, and along with his childhood friend, Bakulal Biswas. And then after this, you can see a better, version of that picture. And Prabhu's another picture called Sarabhuj, with 6 arms. This is also very popular these days. This vision was given by Prabhu to, again, one of his disciples called Dukhiram. Here also you can see that Prabhu is a combination of Lord Krishna, Lord Gauranga, and Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. That amongst the 6 hands, the first 2 hands, which are, blue in color, are the hands of Lord Krishna. You can see the flute and the lotus, which are there in the hand of Lord Krishna. And you can see the, Danda and Kamandulu, the stick and the Kamandulu in the hand of Lord, which is there in the hand of Lord Gauranga. And then other 2 hands is Prabhu's himself. So this vision of Prabhu was also seen by one of his close devotee, Dukhiram, and this is also popular among devotees now. Many people worship this form also. Then Prabhu, from there, he went to Vrindavan and so many places, and then ultimately came to Navadvip Harisabha, which was a major center in Navadvip, where he used to stay and spread Harinam and Kirtans from there. Lot of his activities about Kirtan and Harinam, spreading Harinam and Kirtan amongst people in around Navadvip, was done from this Harisabha. At that time, Prabhu came in contact with a person called Premananda Bharati. He used to worship Prabhu, or love Prabhu rather, I should say, as a Sakha Vrindavan. As if those divine friends of Lord Krishna. He had that kind of, relationship with Prabhu. He used to think Prabhu is Kanai and he is one of those Sakhas, so the Sridham, Sudam, Dam, Vasudam, those young Sakhas of Vrindavan. You have heard of them. So he had such relationship with Prabhu. He used to think Prabhu is Lord Krishna himself, and he is one of the Sakhas of Vrindavan, one of those friends, young friends of Vrindavan of Lord Krishna. And he was also a very learned man. At a later date, Prabhu for the first time told him to go to United States and spread the message of Lord Krishna. Even before Dr. Mahanam Brahmachari came, Baba Premananda Bharati is the first person to arrive in USA and talk about Lord Krishna. And he established a society called Sri Krishna Society in the United States. So he also came to United States at the instruction of Prabhu Jagadbandhu Sundar. This is the picture of those, I talked about those Bhaktis who used to live in Faridpur, where Prabhu used to stay, and they were so much downtrodden and so much hated in the society, Hindu society. Nobody used to even, glance at them. The upper class people, Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, they never used to talk to them and even glance at them. So what happened is the Christian missionaries, they had come to India at that time. They were very active, and they they planned to convert these people into Christianity, take them into Christianity. And hearing this, Prabhu Jagadbandhu Sundar, he called the leader of those Bhaktis. His name was Rajani Sardar. Prabhu called him and embraced him. Rajani was totally taken by surprise. A high caste Brahmin like Prabhu, he is embracing him. He is untouchable. But Prabhu embraced him. And he was scared. He said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? We are not human beings. We are like animals, in your society." Prabhu told him, a human being never becomes animal. You all are servants of Lord Krishna. And if you utter Harinam, if you do Kirtan, you will become a very good devotee of Lord Krishna, equal to all of us. And then Prabhu called them all to his Sriyangan and taught them. You can see here, Prabhu taught them Kirtan, and they became very good Kirtanians. Prabhu gave them, Mridangam, the drum, which is played along with Kirtan. Prabhu gave them Kartals, which is, the cymbal which is played during Kirtan. And by his divine power, whomever he gave Mridangam became a very good Mridanga player. Whomever he gave the Kartal or the cymbal, he became a very good singer of Kirtan. And you know what? A very surprising thing. That Kripa or grace of Prabhu was not for that generation alone. It is continuing even today. Have you heard of such a grace? Have you heard of a grace which is continued generation after generation? I haven't heard. I won't like to compare, but I have heard of Jesus Christ. I have heard of Lord Gauranga. I have heard of so many great spiritual personalities who have done so much of grace on the devotees and downtrodden people. But a grace which continues generation after generation, even today, all the people who are born in that caste, they are called Mohantos. Prabhu, they were Bhaktis, but Prabhu gave them a title called Mohanto, which is a title of a devotee. Good Vaishnavite devotees are called Mohantos. Very upper class Vaishnavite devotees are called Mohantos. Prabhu gave them that title. By that simple name, he uplifted them in the society. And even now, that is continuing. I have seen with my own eye, a small child, not even 5 years old, the way he plays Mridanga. You can't imagine. Like expert they play, the expert they sing. Small child in their, caste. So this is the grace Prabhu had done to them. I have not heard of anything like this ever done by anyone on earth. And then Prabhu is to, when they become expert Kirtaniyas, Prabhu is to take them all around Faridpur and several places and do Kirtan, Pracharan, that is spreading Harinam and the name of Lord Krishna and Lord Gauranga everywhere. By the way, I would like to say, by Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar's definition, Harinam is not only Hare Krishna now. All the Kirtans which he wrote were part of Harinam. All the Kirtans, which talks about the Leela or the divine sport of Lord Krishna or Lord Gauranga can be considered Harinam. And not only that, the Lord or the Supreme Godhead has taken so many forms on this earth. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Nam Nam Kari Bahuda Nij Sarva Shaktis Tattarpita. That is, there are so many forms of Godhead on this world. And whomever you like, you can do that name. So that itself becomes Harinam. And this is a picture which I have talked about, Prabhu's, teaching Harinam to the Dome Bhaktas, those burning hut assistants or domes in Calcutta, and uplifting them in the society or in the spiritual circle and change their total lifestyle. They had no social bindings. They didn't even follow the principle of marriage. So Prabhu taught them all these things, changed their social life completely, and made them good devotees, good Kirtaniyas. And because of that, they became accepted in the society also. With these Dome Bhaktas of Calcutta who were staying in Rambagan, Prabhu did a great thing, In those days, plague, another, epidemic disease was very much prevalent in Calcutta. And Prabhu did, and with so much of trial of medicine, this, that, this couldn't be controlled. This disease couldn't be controlled. So Prabhu, with the permission of the, English government that time, he through his disciple, Atul Champati, Premananda Bharati and all that, he organized a large, very, very large Harinam Kirtan all around Calcutta. And believe me, with that, the plague disease got completely gone from Calcutta, and not only gone forever. After that, plague has never come back to Calcutta. This is Atul Champati Thakur. I talked about him. He is a very learned person and a very close associate of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. And with the help of Atul Champati, Prabhu not only, uplifted the Dome Bhaktas, but also he sent Atul Champati Thakur to those areas where, this sex workers used to stay. And amongst them were, mistresses of, they were not ordinary sex workers, but they were the mistresses of lords and the jamindars of that time. And Prabhu sent Atul Champati and spread Harinam and in those areas also, and they all became devotees of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar in those days by means of Atul Champati Thakur. And after this, Prabhu shifted to Faridpur and built that thatched cottage called Sri Angan. And there was a radical change in him. He became, there used to be a divine trance in him all the time, which is called Mahabhav. He became almost like a child in those days. His body was big, enlarged, but if you look at him, you'll think of him as a child. Not used to use much clothes. And after some time, as I said, I have told earlier, for 16 and a half years, he enclosed himself inside a cottage. He didn't talk. At times he ate, at times he didn't. And not even a ray of sunlight touched him. This again is a complete proof that he was the supreme God himself. I haven't heard of any spiritual personality except Lord Gauranga who could stay inside a small room like this, meditating for so many years. And what was he doing there? Now we are going through the dark age of Kali, which is called Kali Yuga, a dark age. So the destructive power of the dark age and the Mahapralaya, the great destruction, is to come. So Prabhu, what was he doing? With his spiritual power, he was removing all these negative forces of dark age and taking on the destructive force or the force of destruction on his own body. And when he was in that divine trance inside the small room, he used to look like this. Even you have heard of Mahatma Gandhi, when Prabhu was, in that great Mahasamadhi trance, in that for 16 and a half years in that cottage, once Mahatma Gandhi heard of him and came and he prayed in front of Prabhu's room, that quarter, and went back. He came for some work there to Bangladesh, and at that time he visited Prabhu. And of course, Prabhu was not talking to anyone at that time. This is Sripad Mahendraji, who is the founder, Guru or Acharya of Mahanam Sampradaya, the Guru of Dr. Mahanamrata Brahmachari. He got a divine vision of Prabhu. He was living in Vrindavan looking for Krishna, but he got a divine vision of Prabhu and arrived at Paritpur Sri Angar. And from that time onwards, became a close associate of Prabhu. This is another picture of him. Prabhu, he was praying very hard to get a divine glimpse of Prabhu. And Prabhu, in that time, he never came out. But once, he opened his room and gave his darshan, his vision to Sripad Mahendraji once. This is Sripad Kunjadas Ji. He was another close associate of Prabhu. With Kunjadas Ji and Sripad Mahendraji and a few other brahmacharis, 8 brahmacharis, Mahanam Sampradaya was first established. After the 16 and a half years, Prabhu was again coming out of, that small cottage, and he used to be in that divine trance all the time, Mahabhav, and the devotees used to carry him on a wooden chair and take him around Faridpur town with kirtan once in a while. At that time, a young boy called Bankim came to Sriyangan, and by the grace of, you can see, Sripad Mahendraji, he could worship Prabhu. Prabhu was in his room on the cottage, lying in a supine position, and young Bankim, you can see, he is worshipping his feet with, basil leaf and chandan. At that time, this Bankim is no one else but your well-known Dr. Mahanamrata Brahmachari, who later participated in World Fellowship of Faith in Chicago and spread the message of Prabhu Jagat Bandhu in US. And he was in US for so many years. You all know him. This is another view of him. And one thing I would like to tell you, when Bankim was worshipping Prabhu, especially the feet of Prabhu, Sripad Mahendraji showed him so many signs, which are, described in our scripture, that Lord Krishna had this sign. Whenever God himself, the incarnation of God comes, even Lord Vishnu himself has these signs on his feet. So all those signs were shown to that young Bankim, who later became Dr. Mahanamrata Brahmachari, by Sripad Mahendraji. That look here, you are worshipping no one else but the God himself. And after some time, that date came, when Prabhu went into a total divine trance or Mahasamadhi. And apparently, he looked like a dead body, as if no life is there in him. But inside, he was full of bliss. And all the devotees were doing kirtan around his body all the time, continuously. And Sripad Mahendraji was not there at that time. He got the message through a telegram and came after four days. On the fourth day, after this happened, at that time, Prabhu was exactly 50 years old. 100 years back, that's why exactly 100 years back this happened in month of October, 18th October, 1921, Prabhu went into Mahasamadhi. And that time a very famous Indian politician, freedom fighter, Deshbandhu Chittaranjan, he heard of this incident and came to have a darshan, a vision of Prabhu. And he went back and wrote in newspaper those days that on the 5th day, also Prabhu's body was totally full of, divine glow. And he was very much surprised to notice that. And after this, Prabhu's body, this divine body, was preserved. This is Deshbandhu Chittaranjan, came and had a vision of Prabhu. And after this, Prabhu's body was preserved inside a casket. In our language, it's called samput. In those days, made of sandalwood, and the kirtan was continued around that body of Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar. Later, this wooden casket was changed into a hollow metallic replica of Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar, and the body was placed inside that, and the kirtan continued. During the Bangladesh war, there was a lot of disturbance by the Pakistan army in Faridpur, and our monks were scared, and this holy body of Prabhu Jagat Bandhu Sundar was shifted to India, and now it is shifted to a place called Ghurni, which is near Krishnanagar, near Calcutta, about 100 kilometers from Calcutta. There is a ashram there, hermitage, and exactly a replica, like, of course, not attached one, made in concrete, but looks like that. I'll show you a picture. This is the, the Gambhira, or the room where Prabhu Jagatbandhu's Shamput, or that metallic cascade in which his immortal body is placed, is residing here. And you can see there is a, all around the inner room, there is space where Kirtan, continuous Kirtan is going on. So this happened 100 years back, and for 100 years, this continuous Mahanam Kirtan, is called Mahanam Kirtan Yajna, is continuing from those days till today around this holy body of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. You know in what belief? Prabhu said that I will come back. In Chandrapad, he has uttered, and that if you continue Kirtan, he said, he predicted that there will be something like this, and it will look like as if I have died, but I will not actually die. I will come back if you continuously do Kirtan around my holy body. I will come back and re-establish Sanatan Dharma all over the world. I'll make a super combination of all the religions, and one and only one Dharma will prevail in the world, and I will do that. And he also said, my Leela, or the divine sport, will continue for 1,000 years, 1,000 years. So these were all his predictions, and believing on his predictions and on his divine word. This continuous Harinam Kirtan, Mahanam Kirtan is going on around his body, and all the devotees go there who get a chance. Only once in a day they can have a darshan of his Samput. And believe me, if you look at it, you will feel, you can somehow, may not be truly, but to little fraction you can visualize how beautiful he looked. Because this metallic body of his is made exactly like Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar, his replica, So if ever you get a chance, ever you come to India, get a chance, go and have a darshan of the Samput of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar and that holy place. You can see how beautiful is this hermitage. It doesn't look like a concrete jungle, inside so many trees and plants. It's a beautiful place, exactly maintained exactly the way Prabhu used to live in Faridpur, Sriangan. So you all are welcome to have a darshan of Prabhu Jagatbandhu Sundar. And can you imagine a place where Kirtan is continuing for 100 years? So by the force of the Kirtan, that spiritual force of the Kirtan itself, this place has a tremendous potential to change a person. A person who goes there and meditates on Prabhu, he definitely gets some spiritual benefit of the art. So with that, I think I will conclude my lecture today. I think I have already taken more time than required. So let the program continue.
Thank you.
গৌতম দা, থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। খুব সুন্দর হয়েছে, শেষ করার জন্য সময় বেশি লেগেছে, কিন্তু শেষ আপনি সুন্দরভাবে শেষ করেছেন। ইউ কমপ্লিটেড ইট ভেরি নাইসলি। It's complete picture. One thing I'll request you, can you send all those pictures which you didn't send yet, those pictures which are the kind of your guideline for continuing? If you send those, we'll post those in the thing, and those will be kind of sequential events of Prabhu. I'll request you that to send me, and I'll distribute it to on the website and things like that. That's my request. And if possible, just 1 or 2 lines with every picture. If not, we'll do it.
Okay, okay, okay. I'll send that definitely. Okay, thank you. It's all by the grace of you all devotees. I could speak on Prabhu because it's not so easy, you know, to speak on him. Thank you so much.
It was very nice. Excellent. Thank you very much. It was really, really excellent. And I hope that our children also got most of it, because it didn't take it to that high level as per our discussion last time. It was excellent. To me, it was excellent. And I hope that our children also, the participant, got a lot of it. With some documentation, it will be easier for them to follow in the future. Jai Jagat Bandhu, Jai Gurudev.